Hi, this is Jack Stanley, and I wanted to talk about technology a little bit. I wanted to talk about technology in a slightly different way because, we are surrounded by different forms of technology today. Life is pretty easy for us as humans. I'm sure there'll be those that will disagree with that fact, but I must tell you, you wake up in the morning, you hit the light switch, the lights come on. You go to the refrigerator in the morning, you pull out what you're going to make for breakfast. You turn on the water in the shower and it's hot. You have indoor plumbing. That's pretty amazing stuff, if you think about it. And what's really incredible about it all is that we hardly give it a thought. Now, the thing is that we have mass communication, Twitter, we have Facebook, we have YouTube, we have all kinds of things, and even radio, we have television, we have everything that you could just think of in the way of a technology that surrounds us. Pretty incredible if you think about it. Now, here's the thing. We have also reached a point in our time that we are no longer in awe of the technology. We will complain about it. We will say it's not fast enough, it's not good enough. And we'll always find different ways to complain about the easy life we have. Now, as a matter of fun, I'd like to take us back 150 years. This is 2018 that I'm recording this. Let's go back to 1868 and let's spend a day as one would do in 1868. Let's say you lived in the general area I am, which is in the northeast of the United States, and let's say it's February going into March, late winter. Now, we would wake up in the morning and we'd exhale and we'd see our breath because it's so cold. There's no central heat. All you have is the heat from perhaps a Franklin stove, which probably would have gone out overnight, or the fireplace, which would have gone out as well. And underneath the bed would have been a bed warmer, which would have been some coals from the fire, which were put under the bed in a pan that was covered with a handle, and that would heat the bed. So when you went to sleep, at least you would be warm when you went to sleep, a little bit. Of course, one of the first things you would do is empty your chamber pot. Now, what was a chamber pot? A chamber pot was basically your portable bathroom. If you needed to use the bathroom, you used your chamber pot. And we'll just leave it there, but you would carry it outside and dump it into the outhouse. And in the outhouse, of course, if you went to use that, of course, it would be a 2-holder perhaps, maybe a 3-holder, maybe a 1-holder. It depended on what you had. And in there, you would have perhaps some old magazines, newspapers, that's your toilet paper, or a communal brush in salt water. And, of course, you also would have your chickens and your roosters and the pigs and cows in the backyard. That was your source of food. You'd slaughter some of the animals. You would get the eggs from the chickens. Sometimes you'd slaughter the chickens. Since it is late February going into March, you didn't have to worry about refrigeration because everything was cold. And you had your well in the backyard. And from that you could pump your water. Even if it was really cold, it was usually a little warmer below the ground. And usually that would come out, the water, hopefully. Sometimes it would really be cold, and that didn't work either. But you'd get your water, bring it into the house, and, of course, then you could start a fire in the fireplace. The only problem with fireplaces was this. You could do your cooking with the fireplace, of course. But in heating, a fireplace would warm one side of you. and the other side would be freezing. You had to keep revolving, sort of like a piece of meat in a spigot. Of course, you could heat a stove, a Franklin stove or a potbelly stove, and heat a room or whatever. Then you could make the fire, and on the fire then you could cook your breakfast, make some coffee. Then you can go out and milk the cow and feed the animals and do the chores. And then dress yourself. Maybe you might go out to the well and bring a bowl out and put some water in it and bring it inside and wash yourself down a little bit. That's about as close as you got to a bath pretty much most of the time, especially during the winter. Then let's say you might need something at the store. You may have to go to the general store downtown. And you'd hop on your horse or you'd walk, whichever. And then you'd get to the general store and tie up your horse. And you have to remember the general store was the very center of the town. And there would be a couple of wags hanging out telling stories, twirling yarns, as it were. And you'd hear a lot of great stories and get a few laughs as you sit in the barrels around the potbelly stove or fireplace, and then purchase what you needed to get. Rode back, took care of things. That was your morning. Of course, you had to go out and chop wood. You need lots of wood. And so you'd take care of that, and you have to let that cure a little bit because that's what you use in your fire. So you were very self-sufficient. There was no such thing as mass communication, no such thing as any form of entertainment. Perhaps the greatest entertainment was getting the family together and you'd sing together or tell stories or play charades or maybe one could play the piano. Maybe you were lucky enough to have a piano. Or maybe a neighbor would. Very different world. And in today's world, if you think about it, we have indoor plumbing. We have internet, we have planes, we have trains. You had trains in 1868, they were pretty slow. But I can have a communication with someone on the other side of the earth. Isn't that incredible? I mean, to me, in my lifetime, I have watched the world change. I watched a man walk on the moon. 1969, 49 years ago. I mean, I have watched the American presidents. I mean, I watched President Kennedy on television he was the first person to do televised press conferences. Pretty incredible to watch. And today, the president will speak or their spokesman will speak, and they can do all kinds of incredible things. And the technologies that exist are incredible. Even in my mind, because I have seen it come. I was born into an age where we had lots of conveniences, but the social world was completely different. And that's why I wonder, 100 years from now, and if this video survives, wouldn't it be interesting? Someone could sit there and say, you have no idea of what's coming, how different the world will be. But I want to mention this to folks who are complaining all the time, saying, I don't get fast enough internet. I don't have this, I don't have that. Be thankful for all the wonderful things you have. You don't realize how lucky you are. You don't realize you don't have to hit the outhouse. You have indoor plumbing. You can go to the refrigerator and pull out whatever you need. You could pick up your cell phone. And that's an incredible thing right there. Take pictures with it, share pictures, make phone calls anywhere in the world. And even make phone calls and get food delivered. It's an amazing world we live in today. So when you hit the light switch and something goes wrong, it'll come back. But be thankful for all the stuff that's around you. And try to think of it now and then. Try to think in a sense of wonder. because the world that we do live in is an incredible one. It has its problems too. Every generation has their problems. But try to think of how great you have it, and look with awe and wonder at all the grand and amazing things in front of you that make your life so spectacularly different from those of 150 years ago. Thank you.